Hi, welcome to the third of our video trainings for Zoom. Today I'm going to be talking you through some of the core settings, particularly as they relate to one-to-one teaching, because that's what you'll be doing initially with EIA Live. We might touch on a few other things as we go through the settings, but that will be our main focus. Partly, as I say, because you'll be teaching one-to-one, but also partly because um, this may be the first time you're using Zoom for teaching for a number of you. So we want to get you familiar with the basic settings, and when you feel secure and confident with those, there are plenty of trainings available online through sites like YouTube, but also on the Zoom site itself, and you can explore those at a later stage. Now, initially we're going to be looking at the settings on the website, and when we've done that, we will take a look at the app and at the settings that you can change using the app either before your session or during your session. So the first thing I'm going to do is open up the Zoom website, and I'm going to go to my account. Now, this is going to take me to my profile, and I can edit that here. In the sidebar, one thing that's worth pointing out to you is at the bottom in blue, you've got three options that are going to be really useful to you. Through the top one, you can choose to attend their live training events. The second one will give you access to a whole range of Zoom video tutorials. And if video isn't your thing, you also have a knowledge base, and you can use this to check out lots of things, and there's plenty of information there. The other thing is it is searchable, so if there's something specific you're having an issue with, you can pop it in the search bar and hopefully it will come up with a solution to your problems. Now, we're not going to look at the admin settings here, and in fact, we're going to click off Profile, and we're just going to go to the fourth option down, Settings, and you will see that there are three tabs at the top of the page. Now, most of the settings we're going to change will be in Meeting. You don't need to worry about telephone at the moment, but in recording there is one setting I'd like you to enable, and that's the second one down here. So this says record meetings automatically as they start, and you want to make sure that that is enabled. The reason for this is that it means every time you do a session, you don't have to remember to record it. It will do it automatically for you. You need to do this with your sessions, and this is your responsibility. The reason that we ask you to do this is in case there are any queries about anything that emerged from any of the sessions that you've taken. You then have the recording of the session to refer to. We suggest you keep these recordings for 2 weeks, and then at the end of that time you can delete them. So that is the automatic recording option. Then we're going to go to Meeting, and we're going to look at a few of the settings here. The first one that you want to enable is the one right at the top of the page, which is the waiting room. Now this means you have control over when you start your meeting and when you choose to admit your student or students. So you want that one enabled. Until you admit them, they will be in the waiting room waiting for you to start the meeting. I'm going to scroll down very slowly, and under schedule meeting, the next thing we're going to look at is host video. Start meetings with host video on. I would suggest that you disable this option. Similar to the first option we looked at, it helps give you full control over when you start your meeting and when you go live. So when the meeting starts, your video won't be on, and you can just click your video when you are ready. There is an option for participants, and I've disabled this as well, and then you can enable their video when you are ready to go. One thing that's worth mentioning is up here. You'll notice that these options are greyed out. These are to do with passcodes for meetings, which you now must have. It's a kind of security measure that Zoom have put in place, so you won't be able to alter those. Right, we're going to scroll down again. The next option we're going to look at is mute participants upon entry, and we're going to enable this option. Now, it's not such an issue when you're teaching one-to-one, but if you are teaching larger groups of students at a later stage, you don't want all the background noise from everyone as they are coming into the meeting. So it's good practice to have that enabled, and then you can allow the students to sort of unmute when you are ready. Going down a little bit further, chat here, we allow participants to send a message that's visible to everyone. That's fine. However, under private chat, allow meeting participants to send private one-to-one messages to each other. You want this disabled. Again, not such an issue when you are teaching one-to-one, but if you are teaching groups or classes at a later stage, you're not going to want your students to be privately messaging each other whilst you're trying to teach them. We're going to go down a little bit further again, and we're going to look at the screen sharing options. Now, at the moment, I've got host only enabled to share screens, and I'm going to tick on all participants. This will mean that your student can now share his or her screen with you as well. This is useful because you can do things like review homework together, or you can set them a task, and when they come back from the task, they can share what they've found with you. So you want all participants enabled, and the other two things that you want to click on are under annotation, allow saving of shared screens with annotations. This means if you work on a screen together and you're marking it up, you can save the image and you can send it to your students in chat. And similarly with the whiteboard, allow saving of whiteboard content. So again, you know, if you've got something useful that's on your whiteboard, like a list of vocabulary or a spider diagram or something that you want your students to access, you can save the screen and you can share that. Okay, one last option that I'm just going to cover quickly is the virtual background. Now, we've talked about virtual backgrounds before, and you want your virtual background enabled. So you want to allow use of video for virtual backgrounds. Sorry, there was a pop-up there. I don't know what that was about. Just ignore that. Right, we're going to now minimize this, and we're going to look at the Zoom app. Now, this is the app on my Mac, and I'll take you through the settings on this. Depending on your device and your operating system, it might not look quite like this. So if you access something on an Android tablet, for example, you're probably going to have most of the options there, but they might be laid out slightly differently. So you need to take a little bit of time to explore the settings option on your own device. But I'm going to talk you through what we've got on this one here. So we've got the date and time on the right hand side, and then on the left hand side you've got 4 quick click icons, and here you can start a new meeting, you can join a meeting, you can schedule a meeting, and you can share your audio and video. At the top, the home page, which is this one, you've got access to the settings for your chat, for your meetings, in case you want to edit your meetings or copy a link to your meetings to share, and you've got access to your contacts. Now, if I click on my profile picture over here, the one thing that's quite useful here is that I can change my availability. So at the moment I'm available, and that shows through the green dot at the top of my icon. I can also, though, decide to show myself as being away, and that will change to grey. Or I can set a do not disturb, and I can set a time for the do not disturb if I wish to do so. You can also sign in and sign out of your account here, and there's a settings option which you can also access through the cog at the side here, which pulls up a whole range of settings for you. You should have that cog icon somewhere on your app. Now, I'll go through these very quickly. The general settings will allow you to do things like set reminders for meetings. You can change your theme if you wish to, so you can have a dark setting or a light setting. And if you're going to use reaction icons, you can set a skin tone that's appropriate for you. Now, if you click on the view more settings, that will just take you to the website, and you can play around with the advanced settings on the website itself. The video option here will allow you to change your camera settings, so you can change the ratio, you can choose to touch up your appearance if you would like to, and there's an adjust for low light settings which you can click on, and it will do it automatically, but you can also adjust it manually as well. The one option here that you really need to look at is the mirror my video setting. Now, if this is enabled, you want to disable it. I'll show you why that is. If I hold this up to the screen, you will notice on my Zoom video that everything's going to appear back to front. And you don't want that in case you want to hold up any resources like flashcards, etc. So you want to click off the mirror my video option, and then if I hold it up, you will see that it is now the right way round. Audio option will allow you to test your speaker and your microphone and tweak your audio settings. Share screen, chat options, background and filters. We talked about virtual backgrounds a few times. I'll show you why I don't like to use them. So I didn't realise I don't have the background package enabled, so I'm just going to download that a minute. But you'll see that once I've got that up and running, if I choose a virtual background, when I move around, it looks pretty horrible, and that doesn't matter which virtual background you use. So I'm going to stick with none on that one. The video filters you're probably not going to need because they do things like this. If you go to recording, there's one setting you might want to look at, which is where Zoom stores any videos that it creates. Now, it will create its own folder, but if there's somewhere specifically that you would like to store it, you can choose the folder you'd like to store those recordings in here. Profile, we've talked about a bit, and if I go to edit my profile, again, it will take me back to the website. Stats, you don't need to worry about too much. Keyboard shortcuts, if you are someone who loves using keyboard shortcuts, this option is really handy because it will give you a list of all the basic shortcuts for the functions you want to use with Zoom. I don't use them enough. They take a little bit of time to learn, but they are great because once you know shortcuts, they do enable you to move from one thing to another much more quickly than having to go to the settings every time. So if you want to spend a bit of time and energy learning some basic shortcuts, they will list them here. Bear in mind that they may be they're going to be different for Macs and for Windows-based machines, but the shortcuts that they show here will be the ones that are relevant to your device. And again, accessibility you don't need to worry too much about at this stage. Excuse me. That's about it for now, and in the next video we're going to be looking at screen sharing, so I will see you then.